Welcome to Shots of Victory. I'm Rocky, and Blake's sadly couldn't make it to this episode, so I'll be doing a solo episode today. So today we have Raw, NXT, SmackDown, NXT Cincinnati predictions, Elimination Chamber predictions, sports hot takes. We got NFL news, wrestling news, and NBA Weekly. So starting off with Raw, we had the Sami Zayn promo where Adam Pearce came out, said he couldn't make the match between him and Kevin Owens official for Elimination Chamber, but he says it will be unsanctioned at Elimination Chamber. So it will be Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, Elimination Chamber, unsanctioned. I honestly think this match has the potential to be main event of Elimination Chamber, honestly. Then we had a Judgment Day Clubhouse segment where Finn says that three of them were going to go Elimination Chamber, as he says that Raquel is going to beat Roxanne and he's going to beat Seth, as Liv has already qualified. So yeah. Then AJ Styles beats Dominic Mysterio after the match. Braun goes for a spear on AJ, but AJ counters and spears Braun spears Dom. So yeah, this looks interesting for the future. Could be a multi-man match at WrestleMania. Then next we had Dakota Kai beating Ivy Nile to become the number one contender for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Gunther comes in through the crowd, is dissing the crowd, dissing Jey Uso. He threatens Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, telling him, "Do you think Jey Uso is going to win the championship?" They both said yes. And Gunther's about to hurt him, but Jey Uso comes out, fends him off. Yeah. Then next we had Penta beating Pete Dunne, and after the match, Ludwig Kaiser and Pete Dunne tried to attack Penta, but he fends both of them off. So that could be an interesting feud. That could also add to the IC picture. Next we had Roxanne Perez beating Raquel Rodriguez to qualify for the Elimination Chamber after interference by Bianca Belair and Naomi, since they think that they are the ones that attacked Jade Cargill. Karrion Kross promo where he taunts Sammy about how Sammy doesn't stand a chance against KO at Elimination Chamber, which honestly he's pretty right about that. Io Sky hype promo of her in the water drowning, and it's hyping up her for her match against Rhea Ripley for the title. New Day promo about how they should be the locker room leaders and not Rey Mysterio. Then LWO come out and outnumber them 3-2 and attack them and drive them off. Then Seth Rollins beats Finn Balor to qualify for the Elimination Chamber. It was a really good match, honestly, in my opinion. And yeah, Seth Rollins is going to Elimination Chamber as the final man in the chamber. It was a pretty good show overall, but yeah. Now on to NXT. Oba Femi promo where Moose interrupts and challenges him to a match. Then Oba accepts the challenge. So we don't know when this match will happen, but I'm expecting it to probably happen at NXT Roadblock, honestly. Then next we had Eddie Thorpe arguing with Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors. They make a match between him and Andre Chase official on Andre Chase's behalf. And yep, I like what they're doing with Chase U right now. It's pretty interesting. Carmen Petrovic beats Jada Parker and Kalani Jordan to be the number one contender for the Women's North American Championship. And then after the match, she gets attacked by Fatal Influence. Then Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, and Jordan Grace come out, and then they brawl with Fatal Influence, which sets up the main event for tonight. Then we have Sol Ruka and Zarya beating the Metaphor Girls in a pretty quick match, I would say. It was a pretty quick match. Then Ricky Starks signs his NXT contract, but before he does, it gets interrupted by Ethan Page. And then Javon Evans comes out and attacks Ethan Page. And then Wesley comes out and says that he doesn't have full control of NXT. And yeah, so then he just knocks Wesley out. We see the contract and it says Ricky Stark's new name is Ricky Saints. I'm honestly not that mad with the name though, because it's just a little change. I'm pretty sure I'll get used to it and not that. It won't take me long to get used to it. No Quarter Catch Crew then challenge the Hardy Bros for the NA Tag Titles for next week. Then the Hardys accept in a promo package later in the show. So I'm excited for the No Quarter Catch Crew versus the Hardys NXT this week, which should be a good match. Then next up, we had Shawn Spears beating Channing Stacks Lorenzo in a pretty boring match. And yeah. I'm excited to see where Shawn Spears and Tony D'Angelo's story goes, because it could be interesting to see Shawn Spears dethrone him and become the new champ. Next up, we have Moose giving Alexis King a shot at the TNA X Division Championship next week on NXT. Then Eddie Thorpe beats Andre Chase because Andre Chase was too depressed to do his usual moveset since Chase U doesn't exist anymore. And then Trick comes on the big screen and he says he's not done with Eddie yet. Yep. And then it is confirmed for next week in a backstage promo that it will be Javon Evans and Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page and Wes Lee. So that should be a pretty good, solid match. Then Julia, Stephanie, and Jordan beat Fatal Influence. Then Jordan stares down both champs after the match. So yeah, it looks like Jordan's going to probably choose Julia for Stand and Deliver, which should be a good match, honestly. And then to end the show, we see backstage that New World Disorder has laid out Robert Stone, and then painted on the wall it says "No one is safe." And then the show ends. So yeah, it was a pretty good show overall for NXT. One of the better ones in the last few weeks. But yeah. Then we go on to SmackDown, where Nick Aldis informs Cody that The Rock has taken Cody out of the 6-man tag match tonight. So now it'll just be a 2-on-2 match between Damian Priest and Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. So yeah, it's decent, I guess. Jimmy Uso then beats Drew McIntyre, and after the match, Drew attacks Jimmy and hits him with a Claymore. So Drew McIntyre, I could see facing Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania. Maybe it could be him, Shinsuke, and Drew and LA Knight for the U.S. title, maybe. A fatal 4-way for the U.S. title. Could be interesting, since Drew has beef with LA Knight and Jimmy right now, so that would make sense. And LA Knight's beefing with Shinsuke right now. Then Solo arrives at the arena and Jacob tells him that if last week wasn't an accident, Solo still wouldn't be standing here, as he would have super kicked him. Then next we had R-Truth saying that he's got a hometown hero from Louisiana, and out comes L.A. Knight in R-Truth's mind, Louisiana Knight. And they face Mello and Miz. And Mello Don't Miss beat R-Truth and Louisiana Knight after some Shinsuke interference during the match. Which, it's honestly setting up the feud between them. Tiffany Stratton then beats Candice LeRae. Nia attacks her after the match and sits on both Tiffany and Trish at the same time. It did not look good. The bonsai drop on that one did not look good. Oh my goodness. It looked like she fell and then did it. Like, she didn't land right on time when she fell. It was just didn't look good, honestly. Hoping Nia improves on that for next time. Then Alexa Bliss hype real package where she talks about how she will win the Elimination Chamber. Probably not, honestly. Liv and Raquel attack Naomi and Bianca before the match starts and beat them down and stand tall. So Liv and Naomi doesn't even start, which it was rumored before the show that the match wouldn't even take place, but they still had the match on the card, but it just didn't take place. And then The Rock comes out and announces that WrestleMania 42 will be in New Orleans next year. He had a kind of new theme with a New Orleans tease on it, but it was pretty bad, honestly. Then The Rock calls Cody out and asks him to be his champion and to sell his soul to him. And Cody doesn't have an answer, so Rock tells him, "I want your answer at Elimination Chamber. So I guess we'll have to wait for Elimination Chamber then. DIY versus Pretty Deadly for the tag team titles ends in contest as it's the Street Profits attack. Then Motor City Machine Guns come out because they're mad at Street Profits, and Street Profits also take out Motor City Machine Guns. So it looks like we're going to have a multi-tag team at WrestleMania match for the tag titles. Then we had Braun Strowman and Damian Priest picking up the win over Solo and Jacob Fatu after Jacob accidentally superkicked Solo. So it looks like they might be building a feud for Jacob Fatu and Solo at WrestleMania, which could be interesting. And then now on to the NXT Cincinnati predictions. Then we had Moose versus Lexus King for the TNA X Division Championship. So Blake sent me his predictions earlier. So he predicted Moose would win this match, and I did too. Then we had the Hardy Boys versus No Core Catch Crew for the TNA Tag Team Championships, where we both have the Hardy Boys retaining. And then Stephanie Vacher versus Carmen Petrovich for the Women's North American Championship. We both had Stephanie Vacher. Then Ricky Saints and Javon Evans versus Ethan Page and Wesley. We both had, so he had, let me just check our notes really quick. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure we both had Ricky Saints. Let's see. Yeah, we both had Ricky and Javon. So, we both had the same predictions for NXT Cincinnati. So, and this title is on the line for that. Now doing our Elimination Chamber predictions. So Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens in an unsanctioned match. So Blake's on this one's got Blake on this one has Sami Zayn picking in the W. And then, for this one we're gonna differ as I got Kevin Owens picking up the W here. And then we had John Cena versus CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre versus Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest in the Elimination Chamber. And Blake has Cena winning the Chamber. But I have Punk winning the Chamber. So we are so far differential on Elimination Chamber. Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. We both have Trishy time. So yeah. Then we have Liv Morgan versus Bianca Belair versus Naomi versus Roxanne Perez versus Bayley versus Alexa Bliss. Blake has Bianca winning the Chamber. But I have Liv winning the Chamber, so we have different predictions for everything except for the Trishy time match. But we also have one more thing. Does Cody Rhodes become The Rock's champion and sell his soul? We both predicted that Cody does not sell his soul to The Rock. So yeah, that could be interesting. And now on to sports hot takes. Okay, hot takes. First one's from Athlete Vision, where he says the Eagles will win back-to-back Super Bowls. I honestly could see it, but I don't see it. Like, I could see it happening, but it's not like the most realistic thing to happen in my opinion. I see most likely the Bills winning next year out of any team. Either Bills or, just Bills, honestly. I think it's going to be Bills-Eagles next year in the Super Bowl. Then Kellen says Jane Daniels will have a sophomore slump and the Commanders will miss the playoffs. I could honestly see it. I just don't, because I feel like Jane Daniels is too good of a star to have like a CJ Stroud sophomore slump. But I feel like he will keep on the pace and the Commanders will still make the playoffs, honestly. Jane says Hulk Hogan was not a good wrestler in-ring or on the microphone. I mean, he wasn't a good in-ring wrestler, but I feel like he was a good wrestler on the microphone, if you hear what I'm saying. I feel like he could cut a good promo for the day and age that they had back then. But I feel like he wasn't as good as people say he was, but I feel like I know he did build the industry off of nothing, but I feel like people just overrate how good he was. But yeah, he's a bad person. Like, he was a good mic worker in the WWE. Next up, we had Hayden saying the Packers will win the NFC North, which I could see. I don't honestly see it for next year, though. Then he also says the Pats will finish second in the AFC East. I could honestly see that because the Bills are going to place first. Then I could see the Dolphins falling to third, honestly. Third or fourth, because the Jets might do good next year without Aaron Rodgers. So I honestly could see it. Then we had Cash versus the World saying that current Jey Uso is very reminiscent of 2008 Jey Uso, Jeff Hardy, which I honestly so agree with. He was so over with the fans, and so is Jey Uso. They were both so over with the fans. They were top merch sellers. They were both the fans both wanted him to do good. And yeah, I just feel like it's a great comparison of Jey Uso and 2008 Jeff Hardy. Next up, we had Connor Greenman saying that Nick Chubb will have a 2,000-yard rush. Will be a 2,000-yard rusher next season. I honestly don't see it. He's too far gone, to be honest. It's honestly sad. I wish he wasn't too far gone. Andrew says that the Seahawks will have another mess season and miss the playoffs once again. I honestly see it because of how good the NFC is, and I feel like there will be more powerhouses coming into the NFC next year once the draft is done and over with. And Zashi says Randy Orton will win a world title in 2025. I honestly see it because I feel like it's going to be Randy Orton versus John Cena one time this year, so I feel like they would need the world title for that. So, yeah, I could see it, honestly. I honestly see Randy Orton winning another world title this year. Then Kellen says Dak Prescott and the Cowboys will make the playoffs next year. I honestly don't see it. The Cowboys, I don't feel like are going to improve much from this season. And I know they didn't have Dak for the entire season last year, but Cooper Rush really outperformed Dak in the time that they both shined in the regular season. Then Jane says Joe Montana is not a top 5 quarterback of all time, which I 100% agree with. I don't even think he's like a top 10 quarterback in my mind. So like the top 5 for me, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, and Aaron Rodgers. So I honestly just don't see him being a top 5 quarterback, not even a top 10 quarterback in my mind, honestly. So yeah. Now on to NFL news. So the Jaguars hired their new GM, James Gladstone, which I don't remember where he's from, but I feel like that's a pretty good hire for them. Cowboys offensive guard Zach Martin announced that he's retiring from the NFL. I think he's been in the league for a while, so that's pretty good season for him, and he's always been a good offensive guard. Cam Ward sent out a warning that if you don't draft him, you'll regret it, so I honestly think this has, like, no meaning, honestly. It was also announced that, like, free recently that Abdul Carter will be missing the combine since he's dealing with an injury right now they sustained in the Notre Dame game. Offensive guard Jonathan Felicio announced he's retiring from the NFL, so that's 2 offensive guards this week to have retired. And honestly, good for him. He deserves it. He was a pretty good guard when he played, and he's been dealing with injuries recently, so he deserves it. The Chargers will play their Week 1 game in Sao Paulo, Brazil next season, which that's where the Eagles played last season. So it could be a good game. I just don't know who they face. I wonder who they could face Week 1 in Sao Paulo. I feel like them versus the Chiefs in Sao Paulo would be a pretty good game, honestly. Andy Dalton signed a 2-year contract extension to remain with the Carolina Panthers. So that's a pretty good offer for him, as he's a aging veteran, and him and Bryce Young made a good deal last year, as he's taught Bryce Young a lot over the last few years. So the Eagles promoted Kevin Patullo as their new offensive coordinator for next season, which is interesting, honestly. The NFL salary cap is looking to expand this upcoming year from 255 million to 280 million, which is always good, as that means you can pay your players more. The Bengals are said that if they cannot get a long-term deal done with T. Higgins, that they would just use the franchise tag on him, which is kind of frustrating as a player. Like, I wouldn't want to get franchise tagged. And then Darius Slay says that if he can't return to the Eagles next season, that he would love to play for the Detroit Lions, which it would be a good reunion for him and the Lions. Michael Cole revealed that he has 8 years left on his WWE contract and might retire once it is over. So that'd be a good and lengthy career for him, honestly. MJF versus Hangman Adam Page got announced for AEW Revolution. Should be a pretty solid match between them. Current TNA star Frankie Kazarian said he left AEW because of the locker room vibes and how he didn't feel safe enough to change in the locker room. So he'd usually change with the referees and the officials. Penta revealed that he has been wrestling with a torn bicep for the last 3 years, which is pretty impressive to be wrestling while injured with that severe of an injury. It is being said that Bryan Danielson will likely be a part of AEW's creative team soon. So that sounds like... Honestly, I feel like he'd be a great part of a creative team because I feel like since he's been in the wrestling business so long, he has a lot that he could tell them to do, and it would be a great story. Like, he could be like the next Triple H, honestly. Like, a former wrestler that turned into a booker. Mackenzie Mitchell signed a new contract with TNA to become their new ring announcer, which is always exciting when those things happen. Britt Baker is only on hiatus as she wanted to take a mental health break from wrestling. That is why she's been gone from AEW, which makes sense, honestly, after her breakup recently, and yeah. It is being rumored that NXT Roadblock could be a show of NXT versus TNA, which would be another great showcase of the deal between WWE and TNA. Then Goldberg revealed that his retirement match this year will be in the summer of 2025, which I feel like it will probably be against Gunther at SummerSlam. That's what I'm feeling like it will probably be, because I feel like those two are like the only people that they could build a good feud for Goldberg's retirement match, because I feel like Gunther and Goldberg are like the opposites of each other. Like, Goldberg's like a quick match person, while Gunther's like a long technical wrestler that has like but they both have big strengths. Like, they are both very strong and can finish a match quickly if there's the opportunity to. Now on to NBA. So we got the Cavaliers, who are 47-10, first in the East. Then we got the Pacers, who are 32-23, fourth in the East. We got the Bucks, who are 32-24, fifth in the East. Pistons are 31-26, sixth in the East. Bulls are 22-35, 10th in the East. Celtics, 41-16, second in the East. Knicks are 37-20, third in the East. Nets are 21-35, 11th in the East. 76ers are 20-36, 12th in the East. Raptors are 18-39, 13th in the East. Magic are 29-30, 7th in the East. It's crazy that you can lead a division as a team that's not even over 500. Heat are 26-29, 8th in the East. Hawks are 26-31, 9th in the East. Hornets are 14-41, 14th in the East, and the Wizards are 9-47, 15th in the East. The Southeast is for sure the worst division in the NBA right now. Now moving on to the West, we got the Northwest. Thunder are 46-10, first in the West. Nuggets are 37-20, third in the West. Timberwolves 31-27, 7th in the West. Trailblazers 24-33, 13th in the West. Jazz are 14-42, 14th in the West. Lakers are 34-21, 4th in the West. Clippers are 31-25, 6th in the West. Warriors are 30-27, 9th in the West. And they are one game behind, coming 6th in the West. So that's always interesting to see them move up that quick. Kings are 28-28, 10th in the West. Suns are 27-30, 11th in the West. Grizzlies are 37-20, second in the West. Rockets are 35-22, 5th in the West. Mavericks are 31-27, 8th in the West. Spurs are 24-31, 12th in the West. And the Pelicans are 14-43, 15th in the West. So Blake's predictions for the NBA Finals are the Nuggets versus Cavaliers, while my prediction is the Nuggets over the Pacers. So next week we will have Raw, NXT, SmackDown, and Elimination Chamber results, NFL news, WWE news, wrestling news, and NBA Weekly. So I'll see you guys next time. Sorry for the short episode because Blake wasn't able to come, but I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.